What if I told you the worst day of your life could be the beginning of your transformation? Most people will never recover from one trauma. Today's guest survived a narcissistic marriage and a car crash so severe, doctor said she'd never walk again. But not only did she walk, she rose. Today, you'll learn how to reclaim your identity no matter what life throws you. Today's guest says that life is literally 10% of your life is what happened to you. The other 90 is what you do with what happened to you. And I absolutely love that. This is True Crime Connections. I am Tiffany, your host. And this week we are joined by Sky Bellarmine. So, Sky, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tiffany. So happy to be here.
I love that outlook because it's true. We all go through life and something is bound to happen to you. Like nobody skates completely clear, but it's what you do with that that really makes your life.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen that in numerous circumstances and situations in my life as well as in others' lives.
Well, yeah. So you had 20 years married to a narcissistic person. And then you also had almost a near fatal car crash from a wrong way driver. So you overcame a lot.
I kind of look at my life as a legs of a journey. And I would say that using two legs is kind of a pun. You'll see why. But yeah, I was hit by a wrong way driver on the interstate. She was outrunning the police, driving the wrong direction. And she was planning to hit somebody that night. I talked with the um, excuse me. Excuse me.
You're good.
I talked with the deputy sheriff, and he said she admitted that she was going to try to hit somebody that night. And so I swerved, but I couldn't get out of her way. She nailed me. And so the paramedics came to the scene and they decided to air ambulance me to the nearest hospital. I was in a coma, and the doctors couldn't stop the internal bleeding. I was damaged. I mean, broken arm, compound fractures, broken legs, broken pelvis, broken hips, broken feet. It's a lot of it was, yeah, they had no hope, and they didn't think I was ever going to wake up. But then when I did, they said, oh, well, yeah, you're not going to walk again or use your arm, this arm or again, ever. And I said, well, no, let's give it a shot. Let's go to the orthopedic rehab hospital and see what we can do. And so, again, I'm one of those people that don't tell me I can't do it. And so they air influenced me to another hospital at that point. And it took 12 surgeries and 6 years of my life, but I learned to walk again. And yeah, it was a journey. I could say that. And that learning to walk again was absolutely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It without a doubt. So during that time, I became a motivational speaker and started working on some writing and just trying to encourage others. It's not what happens to you, but what you do with it, the whole 10-90 thing. And so my orthopedic surgeon always laughs. He's like, Sky, you're always trying to do something, whatever happens. So, okay, fast forward into looking at the marriage I was in at the time.
So you were married
Total.
during this accident. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, and some of my friends have said, that my ex, he had the opportunity to have 100% control over me. I mean, was non-weight. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. And so so my friends are like, well, he had complete control of you, and then he just never let go. just continue to try to control me the rest of the marriage. And so finally, at one point, I, after 20 years of that, I have such good friends. They saw me one day when he was out of town. We were all hanging out, having dinner, and they're like, "Guy, you're like laid back. You're not stressed, and you're kind of pretty." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, thanks." They're going, "Well, what's going on?" I said, "Oh my God, he's out of town. I'm not walking on eggshells." So then, boom, they told me everything, the cheating, the lies he was telling, and all that stuff. So get flying monkeys, people that carry tails around, and gaslighting, the rages. Oh, Tiffany, I got yelled at like every day. And so 2 weeks after I filed, I was still stuck in the same house. I just asked him, I said, you haven't yelled at me in the past 2 weeks. And he said, well, I finally realized that yelling at you is not the way to handle you. Yes, he said that. Mhm.
Wow.
So I knew I was doing the right thing. It's a it's a tough journey divorcing a narcissist. I did start writing, journaling, and all that. And then what eventually became of all that was Breaking Souls and Escaping Souls, the first two books in the trilogy. It is fictional novel that became #1 international bestsellers on their launch days last year and this year. And what's really fascinating, Tiffany, is on launch day, a fictional novel, it is fiction. It's about a young couple in California where I used to live and all that. It just has some reality in it because I know what I'm experiencing, talking about. And so it went from fictional novel to 46 self-help categories on abusive, toxic relationships on launch day.
Wow. That is
And then
impressive.
I have friends that work in the psychiatric area, nurses and doctors, and they said the books were going on to the Amazon bookshelves where the psychologist books are that they read for their work. Like, it's the authenticity, the reality of the story that is drawing people in. And psychologists have contacted me, and I've yet to meet anybody who can't relate on some level to being in some type of controlling relationship.
I know
And
I've
so,
definitely been there twice.
oh my God, yeah. And when you're in it, you don't realize it. I mean, like the movie Gaslight from 1944, that's where that term came from. And it was very much, she didn't realize that she was being gaslit, like manipulated by a narcissist. She didn't realize that. And then somebody stepped into her life and kind of helped open her eyes. And that's what it took for me. My friends pointed it out. I was like, "Guy, what are you doing? Why are you staying in this?"
Do you think
And
if they
so,
wouldn't have, you'd still be in it?
possibly. I mean, a lot of them say, "Oh, you would have woken up at some point." I was like, "Well, they're pretty beaten down."
I think we
Um,
all do though at some point because even like in mine, like more towards the end, I knew like this is not right, but I was staying for the wrong reasons.
right. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens. And a lot of what enters the picture from what I've seen and what people have talked with me about, all that is the fear. It's like you wonder, like you have nightmares and stuff. Like, okay, what's going to happen? And my ex was so convinced that I should get nothing. Like, he told lies. He faked my resume, all that kind of stuff to try to make me look different than I was. And he called my job a hobby and all that. Uh-huh. Hmm. And so, I just I I thought, if I had ended up just living under a bridge, which I'm not, um, he would have been happy. And so it was really weird. I was coming home from work one day, Tiffany, and I was at this red light, and there was an overpass, and there was a long-haired blonde just standing there, like just homeless. And I thought, I was in tears because it just made me think that could happen. But thankfully, I have a great legal team. And in my tribe, I can't tell you enough about friends and family surrounding you, getting your handful of people who would just walk this journey with you, and you can escape. You can. You deserve to have a better life and to reclaim the life that you had, but even improved. Like my sister is like, oh my God, I got my sister back. And my college roommate and other friends are like, oh my God, she's back. Like I turned into somebody that wasn't me.
Well, because you're
And
always
I give it
walking on eggshells.
right. And you give up on your hobbies and pastimes because they want you to always do what they do. So getting back into that too. What are your passions? And that's really I try to help people realize when I coach and do workshops and speak and all that is what it what makes you smile? Can you remember what makes you smile? And let's step outside, let's take a few deep breaths and really live in that moment and figure out what makes you smile and then let's go get it. Is it's what brings you joy? What have you let go because of this relationship you're in? Everybody lets go of something. Yeah.
Right. It's the other side of your life. The one
Yeah.
that, you were talking about that you seem like you could never do anything right. If he had a bad day at work, it was your fault. If he couldn't find his keys, it was your fault. It just didn't matter. Everything was always your fault. And that is exhausting.
It is. It is. You just find yourself, I mean, people see me as like a high energy person, but it just over the years. And then one of my friends during the divorce, when I'm still stuck in the house and living in the basement. Oh yeah, it was quite a journey. She sent me a picture after the divorce. She sent me a picture of me during that time, and I didn't even recognize myself. Like there was no energy. There was yeah. It wasn't me. It wasn't my real personality. And one of my good friends gave me this hat, and
I love that
it's
hat. It's so cute. I love
there-
butterflies. So
and she's like, "Oh my God, Sky, this is your personality in this hat." And I'm thinking, okay, either I'm flighty or colorful. I'm not sure. The colorful part. But anyway, it's just walking this journey. I just don't want anybody to go through that. The 20 years. We need to figure out how to get back to the you that you want to be. And I have a program that I do, and I'm loading a free downloadable gift related to it onto my website called 20 Reasons Why. And when I started the divorce process, one of my friends said, when you're going through anything like this is a huge step. And you have a whole team around you, but there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and there's going to be some really dark days. When you're divorcing a narcissist, there's going to be some really, really dark days. And so my friend said, you need to take a few minutes and write your 20 reasons why you're doing this. Why are you going through this process? And you need to send it to your legal team, send it to your tribe, let everybody know this is why you're going through this. And keep a copy for yourself because you're going to refer back to it. And boy, did I, many times. And so what came with me, Tiffany, is realizing that that is a process. When we're achieving a goal, making a change, overcoming a challenge, stepping out of an abusive relationship, all those, changing careers, going back to school, planting a garden, decorating your house. I mean, whatever goals and dreams we have, it's the same mindset for success in the process and figuring out the why. So I coach people through the how, but let's step back a minute and find out back to what makes you smile. What's the why that you're going through this process? So I call it my 20 reasons why. And but it's a fun workshop. It's deep because people are really drilling down into what's the root cause of what they're experiencing, and then figuring out how to walk through that and step beyond that, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And anybody in an abusive relationship, I want you to know you're enough. It's not your fault. You can get out of it. And just taking that step, that first step to build your tribe and start figuring out what exactly you need to bring back the joy in your life.
A tribe is so important. Like, that's why I built a community with my podcast, because we do need to be there for each other. So many of
Right.
us have gone through this in one way or another. And there's so
Mhm.
many different forms of abuse. So it doesn't have to be just one or the other. It doesn't matter. Even just you need to get well. You need to love yourself again. You need to find you again. And that does
Right.
take time, and you have to allow that. It took me about 7 years to finally figure out who I was again.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Exactly. I mean, it was through the whole process, just since I filed and then going through that process and finishing that. And then you're like, okay, wait, who am I? It took me a while. Talk about getting your pastimes and your passions back. Tiffany, I remember sitting there one day because somebody said, well, what do you like to do? And I couldn't answer them. What did you used to like to do? I don't know. It's been 20 years. Oh, wait, I used to play golf. We should do that again. It's like, you know, I love to cook. I love to write. I love to play piano. I'd given up a lot of stuff through the years because I had to always do what he was doing. So getting back into pastimes, I was on the golf course on Sunday with a friend of mine. A lot of laughs. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Women's PGA is not going to call me anytime soon. And it's just having fun again, being able to laugh out loud, not
Right.
taking life too seriously. It's like even when the first book was coming out and there were some delays on the launch date and whatever, and then the book launch leader was interviewing me on a podcast after that. They said, "What was your biggest surprise?" And I said, "Oh, okay, it's so smooth." And she said, "Really? Remember there were some delays?" I said, "Well, I wasn't going to bring that up," but she said, "But you didn't get upset about it." And I said, "Well, why would I? That would be a waste of energy, tears, and eyeliner, Like, and it won't change anything. I don't believe in coincidences. Things work out when and how they're supposed to." So, and then the rest is history. It went into all those categories, and hopefully people are reading and getting what they need out of it. There's a lot of research that went into the Breaking Solace trilogy. A lot of research that I didn't realize what all narcissistic personality disorder means. I mean, what are all the symptoms? And I read a book called Stop Walking on Eggshells. And I contacted the author and I said, I'm quoting you in my novel series. He said, oh, great. Would you quote my next book also? I said, absolutely. So going through the divorce, I did take that quiz. Are you in a relationship with a narcissist? He fit all 30 boxes, like total textbook. And as the intelligent empath, see that? How did I not see that? I mean, like in Breaking Solace, they're based on reality. But I know, I mean, it's a fictional novel. It's a fictional, but how can we, I mean, what are your thoughts? How can we not see what's going on?
I think we're blinded because either we've already fallen for this person. Usually, when you meet this person, that's not who they are off the bat, because we'd be like, oh, boy or girl, bye. Ain't
Yeah,
nobody got no time for that. But
I don't know.
they wait, and what I call it is the representative. So when you first meet someone, especially someone who's a narcissist, you don't meet them. You meet their representative. Well, that person can only hang out for about 2, 3, 4 months. Then the real them starts to creep in. by then, you're pretty much already hook, line, and sinker. So then we start making the excuses for why, because they weren't like that. So we have to decide, what are we doing wrong? Or what could make him who we want him to be? And we go down that line. And you cannot ever make a narcissist or anyone be who you want them to be or be who you think that they could be. Because every person on this planet could be amazing, but we're not all amazing. They're not all like us, you know? So, but like for real. So we have to stop trying to put what we think they could do or what we want them to be, because that's not who they want to be or they want to do. So it's not going to happen. You have to now look at yourself and be like, well, is this what I want to do? Is this what I want to deal with? And then that's when the real questions, they start coming up. But it's not until we actually look at that, because we're still making excuses.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and it was interesting. You talk about falling for him hook, line, and sinker. So he put the bait out there. So he grew up with a very controlling parent. And I saw that. I mean, even right away, I couldn't always be there exactly when the event was going to be happening or whatever. And he'd say, oh, well, mom's not going to put up with that. And sometimes it'd be his dad. They were both kind of controlling. And I'd say, well, I'll see you when I get there. I didn't grow up with that kind of controlling atmosphere in my house. And so, but then at one point, after we were dating for a while, he said, can you help me not be like them? Like, I want to learn to be more like you, like caring and that kind of thing. Like, you didn't grow up like that. I said, no, I didn't. Sure. Hook, line, and sinker. I said, of course I'll help you because the empath wants to help, wants to fix. So then, fast forward, after I had filed, made my pros and cons list and all that kind of stuff, and I asked one more question. I said, you asked me back in the day to help you not be controlling, to not have a controlling personality like you grew up around. But you do. And he said, well, of course I do. How else would I manage you? I'm like, okay then.
Oh my God, he has the worst reflection syndrome ever. Like it's all about you. None of it is about himself. And that is a
Right.
huge problem. Like, listeners,
Yes.
anybody that never can see your side of the story or who is literally refusing to look at themselves in the mirror and look at their faults, run like hell, because I'll sit here
Exactly.
and name you every single one of mine. How much time you got? So nobody's perfect. You should be
No.
able to call out your own shit.
Right. Well, and you'll hear this when we talk about people that have been in controlling relationships or narcissistic relationships. About every 6 months during that 20-year time span, I would just have had it. I had my bags packed one night. I was just leaving. He talked me out of it. Man, like, good. But about every 6 months, I say, I can't go on like this. Too much. You're yelling at me too much. And if I would get upset, somebody's yelling at you, raging at you for no reason, of course I would get upset. And he's like, oh, I was just kidding. You're too sensitive. You're too emotional. And even during the depositions during the divorce, he would say that kind of thing. That, yeah, this guy is just way too emotional, way too, yeah. I'm like, only when somebody's trying to tear me down.
Right.
Yeah,
Which, I mean, I think is normal. Like, I'm human. I have emotions. I have a heart. I'm sorry you don't,
yeah,
but,
I
I
know.
do.
I mean, I know. And so and it was weird. I would always listen to him complain about his day or the way people didn't like him. He had no friends, and he was always complaining that nobody, even spent what we pay out of pocket for him to go into training about relationships and how to manage and all that kind of stuff and lead. And maybe it would have been worse if we
Did he say
tried
that
it.
all men are like jealous of him? I've heard that one.
Oh,
Like
yes.
mine didn't have any friends either. And it was like, you
Yeah.
want to fucking know why? And if he did, they were all women. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, because they're looking at the candy out shell, like the shell, like what's
Mhm.
inside is rotten and moldy. So
Oh,
they're,
yeah. He was always the smartest person in the room,
Mhm.
that nothing could be done without him, that nobody could handle anything without his input. Well, so, I mean, he got down to it, started to want to sell the house as part of the divorce. And they started doing the staging thing or, whatever the realtors want you to do. And he got all bent out of shape. He said, well, I was just going to keep that. So I said, well, no, call your attorney because we all agree you don't need this much room and, we're going to move and let this go. And so he did. And they said, okay, fine. Okay. So you're going to be doing the staging. And I said, yeah, I'm working on it. And then the next day he said, Scott, you're just stuff staging back to that. I need to help you with this. He didn't lift a finger. No, but it was just another criticism, another judgment, another something I wasn't doing right. I couldn't even do that right. I mean, and it just goes on. And one thing that he would say to me, because you tell I like to talk, but sometimes, and I'm not kidding, he would say, would you just stop talking? You're making my head hurt. So many times, so many times. And I know people, it's hard to believe. And then I hung around for I
Well,
did.
it's all about control. They have to feel in control. Once that control has been taken away from them, that's when the toddler comes out. And they do not handle that at all, like that at all. They really don't.
Th- That phrase, toddler, that's exactly what my attorney said about him. He said he's just throwing a tantrum like a toddler does.
Funny.
Yeah,
They do. They lose
yeah.
their shit, man. It's like, oh,
Mhm. Yeah. Well, yeah, I spilled the taco meat. I was trying to help put dinner stuff away. We had friends over, and I just accidentally raged at me in front of your friends and everything about spilling some taco meat. It was an accident. And then after the divorce, my friends were hanging out we went over to visit him and, had a cookout or whatever. And they said somebody spilled, what was it? Just some fruit, like strawberries or something. He raged at them. Like, oh, is it a trigger thing? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but
so
there's something that sets them off.
after
And then
you were
they'll
divorced, your friends went to hang out with him at a cook.
no, my sister was there and they really, but he happened to be there. So I know it's kind of a sordid mess, but he hasn't changed from what everybody's telling me. So,
They never
um,
will.
no. And even when they do rage, there'd be times he would just start yelling at me. I didn't know what I'd done. And then he'd leave the room, come back a few minutes later as, oh, hey, I got your favorite coffee. You want some? I'm like, thanks. My point is they could flip a switch. They want to make you happy. They want to make you sad. They want to just keep it going, keep the chaos going.
Roller
Chaos is
coaster.
life. Mhm.
Yep, they're keeping
Absolutely.
that roller coaster coasting. It's still
Exactly.
going.
Yeah. And they get they get energy from that.
Mhm.
So I'm like, it was crazy stuff. And then in writing about it was very cathartic just to get, like I said, it's about Tally and Blake Solis. So the reason Solis in the title is not the name piece, it's their last name. So Tally's breaking Solis in book one, And then Escaping Solace in book 2. And then in book 3, which I'm writing now, to be out next year, is without solace, but it's with peace. Kind of a paradox. And so it was interesting to write the story and have it unfold in front of my very eyes with the research and everything that I've been doing into narcissistic personality disorder. But also, one of my friends said, yeah, this guy's written this psychological thriller series, and it's not a whodunit. It's a he did it, and what's she gonna do about it?
Good way to look at
Imagine.
it.
Yeah. But what readers are saying is they can relate in so many ways
Do you
to the
have
main
any real
character.
events that happened to you in the book?
Mhm. Yeah, but and it is a fictional novel, and in the beginning, it said it's a fictional novel. Any resemblance to people, places, or things is of the author's imagination, and it is. Every it's in Newport Beach, California. It's I placed it. I know all the places, but I have some friends that are in the storyline, with different names and stuff like that. So it's based on a reality. Yeah,
It's a fiction novel based on true events.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a great process just working through it, and so many people have said, this needs to be a movie, or this needs to be a TV series or something like that. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens next.
Where can people buy it if they're interested in either your books, your workshops? You got a lot going on.
Oh, a few irons in the fire. Okay, so my books are on Amazon, and it's either in the ebook or the paperback availability right now. And then you can go to my website, starskypress.com. That's STARSKYEPRESS.com, to get on our mailing list, get connected with us, get our newsletter, and learn about events that are coming up. Reach out to me for coaching, speaking opportunities, speaking if you want a keynote or you want some type of presentation. I would love to be there for you, but I really, really, really want everybody to know that I'm here for you. I want to help you through the process that you're embarking upon, or the obstacles that you're facing, the goals that you're setting, and just help you walk through the journey and get to the other side.
What would you tell somebody who's
Well,
listening right now that is going through this kind of relationship?
first of all, I want to tell you that you're enough, even though you've been told you're not. You're not to blame, even though you've been told you are. And you need to start building your tribe. You need to find a handful, just a few people that can walk through this with you, and start figuring out what steps you need to take and what your strategy should be. And that's it. And yeah, and reach out, find, therapy is awesome. I had a counselor through my whole experience, and you just really need somebody to listen, and somebody who knows that type of experience, because every experience is different. Everybody has different moccasins. I get that. Different journeys, different roads, different paths. But the process for escaping a narcissistic or a toxic relationship, it's a process. And those steps can be recognized by somebody who's already been through it, and they can share that advice. And I would be happy to talk with you, to listen. So reach out, starskypress.com. And we have a page with resources and that kind of thing also.
Awesome. I'm going to make
Oh,
sure I put the links in the show notes so it'll be easy for
great.
them to find. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So those are other ways to connect with me also.
Awesome. All right. Well, then, Sky, I want to thank you so much for being here. I love, love, love your energy. And I'm glad you found you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tiffany. This has been great. Thanks for the awesome conversation and the opportunity to be here with you.